It's hard to imagine calling Amazon, Google, or Nike anything else. But did you know those weren't always their names? In fact, there are plenty of other big companies who don't use their original names, and once you hear the stories behind their name changes, you'll probably agree it was all for the best. If this is your first time visiting our channel, please hit the button down below to subscribe. Today we're taking a look at 10 brands you didn't know changed their names. You'll be surprised by the name that a catchy soft drink brand was once known as. Coach. Fashion fans with their finger on the pulse will have heard the designer brand Coach changes its name to Tapestry at the end of October 2017. Why would a successful company do such a thing? Well, it's all about acquisitions. The luxury group has purchased two big brands in recent years, Kate Spade and Stuart Weitzman. It will keep the name Coach for the actual Coach brand of women's wear, menswear, and handbags, but the multi-brand firm will be known as Tapestry. Chief Executive Victor Lewis explained that they spent a long time looking for the right moniker. They wanted a name that would express the cultural diversity of their people and their brands. With the word Tapestry, they found a name that speaks to creativity, craftsmanship, authenticity, and inclusivity on a shared platform and values. They believe the new moniker represents the deep heritage of the group, and with their distinct corporate identity, their brands will be able to express their individual personalities and unique language to consumers. The company started its expansion in January 2015 when it purchased shoe brand Stuart Weitzman for $574 million. Then it added Kate Spade to the portfolio in May 2017 for $2.4 billion. This move was motivated by the growing importance of the millennial market. Hey guys, we are so excited to announce we are producing our own original content. Head over to The Trendy for the best DIYs, fashion tips, makeup hacks, and so much more. We are sure you're going to love it. And be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from you. See you there. Subway. If you like sandwiches, chances are you've eaten at Subway, but the international chain of sandwich shops didn't start out with the catchy moniker. It actually had a longer name, which created some problems for the founder. Back in 1965, Fred DeLuca was a 17-year-old with a big dream, and thanks to a $1,000 loan from family friend Pete Buck, that dream became a reality. Fred opened a sandwich shop in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he revealed the story behind it in his autobiography. Start small, finish big, 15 key lessons to start and run your own business. Fred and Pete checked out their neighboring business for name inspiration. There was Anne's Bakery, Judy Blair's Dance Studio, and Susie's Yarn Shop. They followed suit by using the name of the financial backer and called it Pete's Super Submarines. In order to fit on outdoor shop signs, they sometimes had to shorten it to Pete's Submarines. But there was a problem. When people heard the name on the radio, they often thought they heard the word Pizza Marine. When customers started asking Fred what kind of pizza they had and whether it was seafood, he knew he had to make a change. He wanted a name that was short, clear, and difficult to mispronounce. He also wanted to use the word sub, and the word Subway just popped into his mind. They switched to Pete's Subway. After opening several restaurants, they eventually changed it to just Subway. Tinder. Anyone who knows about dating apps knows the name Tinder, but it didn't start out with that name. The application was actually called Matchbox in the early days. Why so? The founders wanted a moniker that played on idioms relating to love, and specifically the ideas around sparks flying when you meet that special someone. People often talk about wanting to have a spark with a potential partner, plus the metaphor of sending someone a smoldering look across the room, and the metaphor of flames igniting when two compatible people get together. So they rifled on that fire theme and came up with the moniker Matchbox. However, co-founder Jonathan Badin revealed that they knew the name wasn't quite right. So they did what any student writing an essay does when they need a new word that means something similar. They dipped into a thesaurus, and there was a list of inspiration. Out of all of the options, the word Tinder caught their attention. They liked the fact that it was an unusual word. They also liked the fact that it sounded similar to the word tender. Thus, Tinder was born. There are also reports that the word Matchbox didn't work because it was too similar to the name of another well-known dating company, Match.com. Skype. Skype is one of those brands that has come to define a particular type of action. Just like you'd say you'll Google something rather than say you'll search online, you'd say you'll Skype a friend rather than say you'll video chat with them. But where does the moniker come from? Well, it wasn't always that short and snappy. The founders of the brand wanted a name that reflected the fact that they were letting the world talk for free. So it actually started out as Sky Peer-to-Peer. They soon shortened it to Skyper. But when they searched domain names, they came up against a problem. Some of the domain domain names associated with Skype were already taken, so they shortened it even further by dropping the R, and that's how Skype was born. The all-important domain names were available. It didn't matter too much that the name didn't really make sense. However, it turned out that the name was a bit too similar to another existing brand, and that was the broadcaster Sky, which made a complaint to a European Union court. It was declared that the video chat software's branding was too similar to Sky's to be granted a trademark in the EU. Microsoft challenged the ruling, but the EU court once again said that Skype's name and bubble design logo was too similar to Sky's, and therefore it might confuse the public. Therefore, they couldn't register a trademark for the logo or moniker in the European Union. WWE. It's only wrestling fans over a certain age that know that WWE wasn't always known by that name. World Wrestling Entertainment was once called the World Wrestling Federation, and known by the acronym WWF. But there was already a company called WWF, the World Wildlife Fund Charity, and the British Nature Charity fought a long legal battle to make the American wrestling brand change its name. The British company was founded in 1961 as the World Wildlife Fund, and registered the initials WWF as a trademark. In 1989, it changed its name to Worldwide Fund for Nature, but kept WWF and its famous panda symbol in ad campaigns. When the McMahon family created the World Wrestling Federation, the nature charity wasn't impressed. It wanted to protect its brand and reputation from what it called any unsavory connection with wrestling. The Wrestling Federation challenged the charity's injunction, but it was dismissed in 2002, and so it had to keep to the strict terms of a 1994 settlement. The McMahons claimed the new name WWE put the emphasis on the E for entertainment, but the wildlife charity wasn't impressed by the move, as it didn't feel the name was significantly different. It was different enough to cost the wrestling group tens of millions of dollars, though. WWE had to rebrand all its merchandise. Yahoo. Many of the most well-known companies have a one-word moniker. It makes perfect sense as it's catchy and easy to remember. You know what isn't so catchy? The name Jerry's Guide to the World Wide Web. But believe it or not, that's what Yahoo was originally called. It was named after one of its creators, Jerry Yang. He originally curated the list of categorized websites with fellow Stanford graduate student David Philo in 1994. They were meant to be finishing their doctoral studies, but the 20-somethings were busy exploring the World Wide Web, which was still very much in its infancy in those days, hence the need for somebody to provide a guide to it. But the long moniker was short-lived. By 1995, the duo changed the name to Yahoo. They joked it was an acronym for yet another hierarchical officious oracle. But Yahoo also has a literary link. In Jonathan Swift's novel Gulliver's Travels, there were savage creatures called Yahoos, so the word came to mean rude, unsophisticated, and uncut. Through the 1990s, the site grew rapidly as a search engine and web portal. In 1996, the company went public and its shares grew by 154% in just one day. 3 years later, its founders were worth $8 billion each, but its position at the top was challenged when Google came along. Google. Larry Page and Sergey Brin met at Stanford University in 1995 when Sergey showed Larry around. By 1996, they were firm friends, building a search engine in their dorms, and they called it Backrub. Yes, really. It's said that the early name was chosen because it referred to the way the search engine analyzed the internet's backlinks and used them as a way of understanding the relevance and importance of a website. Fortunately, they renamed Backrub Google in 1997. The pair wanted a name that would evoke just how much data they were indexing. They chose the new moniker as a play on the word Google. That mathematical term is how you express the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. They felt that was fitting because their mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. They registered and trademarked the name Google and then incorporated the company in 1998. Stanford's David Collar claims the new moniker came out of a brainstorming session. Fellow grad student Sean Anderson reportedly suggested the word Googleplex. Larry countered with Google. Sean checked if that domain name was taken, but accidentally searched for google.com instead. Larry liked it even better. That wasn't the end of fun monikers. In 2015, Larry announced that Google's new holding company was called Alphabet. He explained they chose the name because the alphabet is one of the humanity's most important innovations, and because alpha is investment return above benchmark, which is what they strive for. Nike. The name Nike and its swoosh logo are so well known, it's hard to imagine that sportswear brand being called anything else. But back in the day, the company was founded in 1964 as was Blue Ribbon Sports. It didn't even produce its own shoes back then. Blue Ribbon Sports originally operated as a distributor for the Japanese shoemaker Onitsuka Tiger. And here's a bonus fact: Onitsuka Tiger is now known as Asics. It's like a wormhole of name changes once you start digging. Blue Ribbon Sports started making its own shoes in 1971, and so a new moniker was needed. Founders Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight spent some time considering their options. Dimension 6 was one frontrunner. Phil was particularly keen on the name, but it soon fell out of contention when Bill and Phil looked to Greek mythology for inspiration. Given the importance of winning in sport, it's fitting that they chose Nike. They named their brand Refresh after the Greek goddess of victory. It's said their first employee, Jeff Johnson, came up with the name. Many people still mispronounce the name as one syllable Nike, but it's actually two syllables, Nike. And if you're wondering about the swoosh logo, let us tell you about that too. It was designed by Portland State University student Carolyn Davidson. She charged just $35, which is around $200 in today's currency. She was later given stock that is now worth more than $640,000. Amazon. Can you believe you might be shopping on a global site called Relentless? Well, that's what Amazon was nearly called. Founder Jeff Bezos went through a few different options before settling on the brand we know today. This is a pretty typical process for entrepreneurs setting up their own company. In this tell-all book called The Everything Store, Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon, Brad Stone revealed some of the possible monikers. Jeff reportedly registered Awake.com, Bookmall.com, and Browse.com. There was Cadabra too. The Amazon founder liked the sound of the magical word taken from abracadabra, but his lawyer misheard it as cadaver. So Jeff Bezos quickly reconceptualized the name. Amazon was chosen for two reasons. Firstly, because website listings were alphabetical back then, and secondly, because of the link with the Amazon River being the world's largest river in terms of volume, so that suggested scale. After all, Jeff had his sights set high from the get-go. He launched Amazon.com with the tagline, Earth's biggest bookstore. But before he settled on Amazon, there was one other name that he tried out, and that's Relentless. Jeff registered the URL in September 1994. He and his wife liked it, but friends thought the moniker sounded a bit sinister. It obviously stuck, even though it was eventually changed, because even now if you type relentless.com into your web browser, you'll find it redirects to Amazon. Pepsi. The chances are you've held a can of Pepsi in your hand at some point or another, but if you were holding that can back in 1893, it would have said something quite different on the label, and something not quite so catchy either. That's because it was originally called Brad's Drink. It was named after the investor Caleb Davis Bradham. The North Carolina native had hoped to become a doctor, but a family crisis meant he had to drop out of med school and return home. He opened Bradham's drugstore, and it was in this pharmacy that he invented his famous drink. In 1893, he mixed together carbonated water, sugar, caramel, vanilla, cola, nuts, nutmeg, lemon oil, and other natural additives, and it took off straight away. In 1898, the creator renamed his drink Pepsi Cola. Contrary to speculation, the name isn't to do with pepsin. It was actually named after the ailment that Caleb thought it could help. He believed the drink was a healthy cola that could aid digestion, so Pepsi got its roots from the word dyspepsia, which means indigestion. In 1902, he formed the Pepsi Cola Company, and he trademarked the name the following year. It grew rapidly as the drink became massively popular, so the next time you open a can, you can say cheers to Brad's Drink. Which other brands need a new name? Let us know in the comments, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching!